one day he just asked me when I was reading a book on Steve Jobs saying, do you want to be like him? I said yes. I was a big fan of Steve Jobs, continue to be. So he said he's one of the world's best product managers. One of Ankur Waruk's recent reel or something. I think product management, I would say, is among the top 2 or 3 top earning functions for sure.
Mm-hmm. Is it worth it? All the effort that you have to put in to be a PM, years of hard work, years of hustle, years of understanding users, business, stakeholders, financially and emotionally. Does it make sense for someone to spend this much time building a career in this? Basically, I want you to talk about how does it feel like after spending more than a decade in the role? Second, if you can also share with our community how much people can expect to make financially. Is it really a financially rewarding role in the end? So that they have they would know whether it makes sense to spend this much effort, work with this much of ambiguity and challenges through the years.
Yeah. No, I think I can tell you now I've spent more than 13 years, actually 14 years now in product management. It's the most, I've not tried other careers. The only one other I tried was I was a software developer for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So before, B school. But I think I can only say it's the most fulfilling job that I'm doing. I love my job. Mm-hmm. I look at myself as a problem solver. And this is one job function which allows me to do that and allows me to think boundaryless, almost truly like problem solver with a business owner mindset that is there. This is that one function that actually allows you to do that. So it's very fulfilling at an emotional level. However, I'll also give some of the pitfalls. It can be, like I said, a very lonely journey. It's mostly always a very stressful job because this is one function which is never having a low period. What I mean by that is either you're building or you're doing a GTM or a selling along with the GTM teams, or you're supporting in some function. You're working with each of these teams, build, sell and support teams. And let's say if you are owning multiple products, each of these products could be in different parts of this journey. Either you're building it, which means you're heavily working with your tech teams, some of the ecosystem teams, some of the banking teams, etc., depending on which domain you're in. Or you're selling where the product is ready. How do I put the value proposition? What are those last bit of features that I need to build? Yeah. What's the right policy I need to tweak, etc. Or I'm supporting, right? So this is never has a low period. You're always on. Mm-hmm. It's also very stressful because at the end of the day, a lot of product management is also the ability to take judgment calls. Mm-hmm. While you can obviously look at data, etc., there's a lot of your quality of judgment should be extremely high. Because you're, like I said, you're in some way telling the org where to prioritize your time and resources. Not an easy job to do because you get it wrong.
You end up wasting everyone's time.
You're wasting the entire org's time, right? Which is not fair. And therefore, that element of accountability sits with you, and therefore, stress is a accompaniment of that. Right? So that will be there. It's also is a function where you have very long periods of no limelight, no validation, whether you're even doing it right or not, because some of these things, let's say, end up taking time to build or time to sell. The sales cycle could be long, or to build up a critical mass, you might take time. So you never know for some period of time whether you are even in the right direction or not. You can only experiment and get proxy signals, but you really don't know whether the rubber has hit the road or not yet. So because of all of this, it again adds to the stress, saying, hey, am I doing it right? Is this happening well? What if it goes wrong? What if this becomes an expensive mistake? But at the end of the day, even if, and most products end up failing any which ways, but you get, the amount of learnings you get just as a professional.
Yeah.
I don't think there are very few professions which give you this level of learnings across things. And if there's a success, trust me, whenever I had a major product success, I've not slept that day entire night because you're so happy. Because it's so fulfilling. Let's say we just launched something at Razorpay where the entire platform took us almost 2 years to build. And then there was an inflection point post which, there was a massive success, right? And you're like, hey, how did this happen? Because for 2 years, we didn't even know, is this even going to see the light of the day? Is this even going to launch? Is there going to be a bank for this? Is there going to be a merchant for this? But once that period ends and once that inflection point hits and you get it, you would feel it extremely fulfilling.
Hmm.
Now coming to the financial piece of it,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you saw one of Ankur Waruku's recent reel or something. I think product management, I would say, is among the top 2 or 3 top earning functions for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But different people look at it different ways, because some people look at it in from absolute, saying what is the income I'm earning. Some people also look at it as an ROI, saying how much of effort do I have to put versus what do I get.
Hmm.
In the first one, yes, no doubt, product is the highest. ROI wise, I feel, there's humongous amount of effort that goes in to earn that income, right? So therefore, if you put an ROI lens on it, I don't know if it's the highest ROI. But for sure, I think it's one of the financially, just in absolutes, it's one of the highest earning.
What's the range we are looking at? Because when you are talk about ROI, na, I think many people who are hardworking
Yeah.
and ambitious, they don't think that much about how much effort it will take.
Yeah.
But they do want to know what does it look like in the end.
Sure.
So for somebody with 10 years, 8 to 10 years of experience, how much do you think they can make? The top PMs, the top PM leaders in the country, in the current startup ecosystem that we have.
Yep.
Any range that you can share?
I think anyone with 8 to 10 years of experience. Again, everyone has a different trajectory, by the way. It also depends on what level have you reached, whether it's a associate director or a director or senior director, VP, etc. Typically, what I've seen is that 8 to 10 years experience, assuming they're in this range, is somewhere above 60-65 lakhs for sure. It could go up between 65 to around 90. That's broadly the range that I've seen people earning. Again, this is exclusive of ESOPs or RSUs, depending on which company you're a part of. But that's usually the range that, that's what I have generally seen as a broad trend for that level of experience that we see.
Okay, and what, like, for this kind of stage, what percent of the overall comp is ESOPs, and is ESOP something people should actually care about?
Yeah, look, ESOPs, if you now see, finally, I think, given that 10 years of startups have actually, we've had 10 years of startups now, generally.
Yeah.
And if you see, there have been a few successes now.
Yes.
Whether it's a Zomato or a Swiggy or some of the other players as well. Finally, there's a value being made in the market, either through IPOs or either through mergers and acquisitions,
Or secondaries.
or secondaries. So people have made wealth, and it's been shown as ESOPs as a way of creating wealth as well for the employees, especially early ones, etc. So I think, ultimately, a career is about taking bets. And if you are getting a good problem statement to solve, then I would say if it comes with ESOPs, then do take it. Because there is, yes, the probability is very low, but if you are able to get a good crack at it and with a little bit of luck, you can actually make exponentially more money than with just a fixed salary of sorts. So while, a fixed salary can probably make you rich, ESOPs will probably make you wealthy. Right? There's a big difference between the two. So I would say if somebody is there, it's a good way of wealth making, and people should take that bet on themselves. Look, at the end of the day, the way careers are evolving so fast, product management as a function didn't exist 15 years back in India. Maybe
Yes.
it existed in the US. I was also introduced to be by one of my super bosses at Geo, who was also from the Bay Area, who had seen product management. And one day he just asked me when I was reading a book on Steve Jobs, saying, "Do you want to be like him?" I said yes. I was a big fan of Steve Jobs, continue to be. So he said he's one of the world's best product managers. I didn't think of it like that because in product management was a lot at that time was a lot about, hey, it's IT. And people who were engineers who had gotten into B schools, you didn't want to go back into engineering at that point in
Yes.
time. Right? And that was the mindset. And look how it's turned out to be in the last. It's become such a mainstream job function.
Yeah.
Which means careers are evolving. I never thought I would go from an engineer and become a product manager. Tomorrow I might be doing something else with it. The careers are evolving. So take a punt on it. And ESOPs and other things, if you think you're getting a good problem statement to solve, take that bet. And now we have some success stories. It's not like there have been no success stories. There have been success stories. So take the bet in the right way. Which companies you're joining, what's the potential for it to, let's say, have an IPO or a merger, and you will end up making some money there for sure.
Yeah. No, that's a very good advice, and I'm actually very happy to see some wealth being created by some of the companies
Absolutely.
because it changes the narrative from many people thinking
Yes.
that it's just a scam by founders to give lower salary
Yeah.
to actually realizing
Yeah.
that it's possible. And given your career trajectory, I think it makes sense for somebody to think very long term.
Yes.
Like when you will work at, let's say, 4 or 5 different companies over a career of 10, 12 years, just one of them has to work out really well,
Yes.
and it can change the game for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think what's generally happening with a lot of these IPOs is it's increasing the capacity for risk capital in India, which means there'll be more startups,
Yeah.
people taking more bolder bets because there's wealth that we've seen.
Yes.
And it's generally good for the ecosystem. It's good for product managers because there'll be more opportunities for people to be product managers.
Yes.
Because there will be hard problems. There are plenty in India. I think we are blessed with enough hard problems.
Enough problems.
Yeah, so there's always opportunities there.
Yeah. So it can be a great career for a certain type of people who want to solve problems
Yeah.
and who want to work on complex problems which involves all different types of stakeholders and all that.